All right, guys, I'm really privileged to be sitting with Mr. Gerry Robert here, very, very well-known author. You've written a number of books yourself.
Yeah, I've written 5 or 6 books but over the past 25 years, a long time.
Yeah, but I mean, I was hearing you talk about it earlier, and you've been at the National Achievers Congress here in South Africa talking about this, and a lot of people talk about this, how to write a book and how to use it effectively. You come in with this huge bag of people that have written books, amazing looking books of all different types, and show people how they can use them for so many different things as opposed to just writing a book or sharing some information. I mean, this is what you're doing now, Joe. You inspire people to do this?
Brian, it's a good observation first that they're all different. What I found is that when it comes to publishing a book, people struggle with certain things, right? They think they got to use a big publisher, which I don't recommend. Yeah. They think about how to get the books in the bookshops, which I don't recommend. But in terms of what your audience and this audience at the National Achievers Congress will get out of it, is just the idea of using a book as a marketing tool. And if you're in sales and you take a copy of, my book for example, you take a copy of that and you send it to your prospects with your picture on it,
absolutely, yeah.
Man, it just changes the whole nature of the event. So what we try and do is go the opposite direction. So I've generated over $100 million in the publishing world. And so the reason I've been able to do that is that I just don't think like everybody else. I think you know that the easiest way to win is if everybody's going left, you just go right.
I mean, you know what I'm excited when I see, you can share some of these examples because, again, like, I'm even one of those guys who has, I've written masses of stuff. I represent a very large sort of community and movement around entrepreneurship. So, but, we just don't get around it. We think it's too hard, and it's not. I mean, we know it's a good tool, but you kind of take people that don't even think about writing a book and show them how powerful it is, just to grow a business in something like renovations or something.
Well, that's a good example for it is John Sultan. So John wrote this book, and his idea is called Get the Renovation You Really Want. And he's a renovator. And so the tradition, marketing is tough these days. There's so much competition. So to have a tool that separates you just like that from everybody else is really powerful. Yeah. When it comes to renovation, most people don't have a very high estimation. So you got to ask yourself, if the guy wrote the book on how to make it a pleasant experience, which is his subtitle, would you want to have some guy who's working out of the back of his lorry renovate your house, or do you want the guy who wrote the book on the deal? And so he would use this. Now, he had never thought about writing a book. And I bet you a lot of the people watching have never really thought, could I do it? Listen, if you've got a system to do it, and that's what we try and give people. We don't try, we give people a system on how to do it, including like how to write it in 40 hours, right? So it's a very unique sort of program. Well, if you've got something like this that allows you to get in front of people, position your brand in a credible way, and that's important today. Given our climate, for any of us who are entrepreneurs, we know, if you've talked to anybody, prospects, man, it's getting tougher all the time. The consumer mindset today is so jaded. We try and sell, it's almost like selling is a dirty word, and there's a real perception. And so there's skepticism and doubt. But when you show up with this, and you're the renovator who published the book, now, we made this so drop dead easy for him. He stood up, he's from Australia, stood up in front of about 800 entrepreneurs and showed them he could point to $2 million of additional contracts because he had this as a marketing tool. Yeah. A good thing too is, because I'm a small business owner as well, like a lot of your colleagues, the thing is it costs money to do stuff. I figured out a way to make this self-funding. So that means I'll show people how to get other people to pay. Like, this costs money to print this, not as much as most people think, but you got to do it right. And so I get people all the time who have never written a book or anything, and I show them how to get sales by doing several categories, campaigns, before they even write one word and start generating money. So it becomes then a self-funding marketing tool. And not just a marketing tool, man. It'll skyrocket people's business.
I mean, it's so funny. I'm smiling when I saw you talking about this book because many years ago when I spoke about expert marketing, as a strategy, and I actually used the example, funny enough, and it wasn't specific to the book, it was just about writing articles and that, but I remember mentioning the book, and I said, how much do you know about renovating your house? I used this exact example to use as a real example. I said, how much do you know about renovating your house? You're going to spend money, everyone gets screwed over and struggles and spends too much money, doesn't get what they want, whatever, and you've got people, because there were people in the room who are in this industry, and I'm like, but you don't want to position yourself as an expert. I don't know a whole lot of stuff. I can ask you questions right now that's valuable to me. Why do you not want to share that? So it's like getting that, even though you're just a renovator or a plumber, or you're just working with children, or you're just trying to help people in simple ways, there is profound power in that understanding. So it's not only the fact that the market looks at you completely differently, but it allows you to go out there and actually educate and help people simultaneously. It's that balance.
In this day and age, because marketing costs and advertising, all is going up. I don't know here, but pretty much everywhere I go, the costs are going up and results are going down. Can I give you one more example?
Sure, absolutely.
Right, this is an interesting conversation. So this lady was a coach, right? And so she coached parents on how to be a better parent. So she came to the seminar. She had never thought of writing a book. So most of the people I appeal, so I appeal mainly to non-writer types. Because we talk about monetization, not proper grammar. That's easy to fix.
Yeah.
So she comes to the thing, she never thought she could write a book because she never had any qualifications. She wasn't rich. She didn't have any degrees or anything. She was just a mom. She had 5 children, and so she's teaching and coaching other women. She was spending $1,005 US per month on an ad in the local newspaper, and it was always profitable for her. She would get 12 to 15 calls every week. And so I said to her, why don't you write a book and offer it for free in the newspaper? She went, Brian, from 15 calls a week. She offered this book. Look, it's not very much, how inexpensive it is to print something like this?
Yeah.
She went from 15 calls a week to up to 500 from the same size ad, like $1,500 ad.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think that would do to most entrepreneurs' business? Most people tell me, if I can get in front of customers, I know how to sell them. The problem is, how do you get in front of them these days without spending a fortune on advertising? I've got ways, for instance, for people to fund the whole thing, because you don't have to pay money yourself, and you don't want to go through a traditional publisher, because you could never use the entrepreneurial publishing concepts that I talk about. Like for example, we teach our people to fund the whole thing by pre-selling books.
Yeah.
You saw the little 22-year-old who pre-sold 600 copies of his book and raised $15,000 by selling ads in the back of his book. Right. So there's innovative ways for people today, but they got to be willing to invest in themselves. Hire people like you who can really make a difference in people's lives. And I think people really need to stop seeing what you do and the association that you're part of and the services you offer. Can't be seeing it as an expense. My goodness, one idea from you, from a concept like this, just if people took just one point from this video, forget all the other ones that you're providing solid content for people, they need to stop seeing it as an expense. When my income went from $100,000 a year to $1 million and way beyond that, because I started investing in myself. And sometimes you got to get in front of other people. I think people talk to unhappy, broke people too much. But what you're offering is so cool, man.
Yeah, I mean that's funny you say that. We spoke about that recently, actually, as a whole sort of group meeting, because it's just that you're offering something that's practical. I mean, I want to really endorse this from the perspective, because South Africans really, self-promotion has become a major, issue. We haven't adopted it, in a competitive market like America. We've seen a lot of self-promotion and it's quite competitive, but in many other countries, we still haven't got into that space. Yeah. And it's this whole thing about feeling comfortable writing the book, because everyone's got a story to share, everyone's got something of value to add. Even just a simple professional knows something that other people don't know, and that's what I want to share.
You don't have to, I mean, seriously, can I give you an example? Yeah. I was talking to a chiropractor. She says, I'm not qualified to write a book, which is the number one issue.
Yeah.
I'm not qualified to write a book. I said to her, do you have a PhD? Are you a doctor? Yeah. She says, yes. I said, you expect me to give you my child and you're going to manipulate that child's spine, but you can't write what you know and put it in a book? You're not getting my game. So, but people would be surprised. And I'll tell you one of the other things, is most people think they got to write a ginormous book. I mean, seriously, if most of the entrepreneurs who are watching just did this, 8 things you need to know before you buy, ... whatever it is you're selling. 7 questions to ask so you don't get ripped off. 4 things my competitors don't want you to know about this industry. You see, something like this, it's not very thick. I mean, and you know, there's even white space in it. So it's, you don't have to, you know, because we're not looking to get J.K. Rowling's off the bestseller list. Yeah. We're not even going to go that route. Yeah. You know, can you imagine if somebody sent that to all their database and maybe sent another copy with them and said, you know, you must know somebody who's a parent. Give them a copy of the book. Now, she's providing, see, the trick with this, though, Brian, is really a key point. And it's true throughout, because people are so jaded. Self-promotion, there's just way too much of it. But what's really effective is if you give people content. See, same thing with my lecture. Like, of course, I sell services like everybody else. Well, I tell you, I give every bit of content I can squeeze into that hour I have, because I know people respect it. There's just, and it's no different in the seminar business than a plumbing business or a chiropractor. I mean, you've got to find a way to stand out today. We're so bombarded with marketing messages that if you find a tool, like I know people who their brochure, you know, big brochure and a video and a costs 3 times as much as something like this.
Yeah.
So
no, I think, look, I mean, I just want to, you know, without even knowing everything that you're going to give, because I wasn't in the room for the whole time, it's just, you know, this is truly powerful. It really is. And I mean, the fact that you're coming to spend here, what I love about it is you've done this so often yourself. You've taught so many people all around the world. You've got real stories about real people that have really sort of opened themselves up and expanded their lives and their market. And I mean, I can't even imagine when we start to talk about the satisfaction of when people are phoning in to say, you know, that little bit you wrote about has changed my life, on top of the fact that they've expanded their business. It's a miracle tool that so few people understand.
Well, it's really good here in Johannesburg as well, because the market is so ripe. Yeah. You know, people are, the economy's bubbling, it's growing, it's emerging, and so, you know, adopting some of these new innovative ideas. You know, you may have heard the quote that I said that there was a day when when the big ate the small.
Yeah. Today,
it's the fast eat the slow. Well, if you could be the market leader, and it's not that difficult there, you know, to do. People would be surprised on how you can get other people to pay for everything, how you get help to write it. You know, so there's a lot of things that are very practical. Yeah. The other thing that I love is the people of South Africa, and I come from Canada, yeah. So yeah. You know, I think whatever you do, you should just be real, and I felt a real resonance with the audience, even being here a week now. If people are going to sell and be successful, you just be yourself. You know, don't try and be something you're not. But you also got to be willing to do something that may be a little bit uncomfortable. And I'll tell you something: when you put your picture on the front of a book, and I'm not saying everybody needs to do that. My next version is going to have my mustache in there.
I should say something.
Can I try to one other trick just to flip the book around? Guys, if you're going bald, just put a bar across with something in there. And so there's a lot of little tricks. But seriously, if somebody wants a marketing tool, man, there's nothing like a book. I got so many examples I could share. But the time is right, and you're the guy to help them, and Success Resources
yeah, we're looking forward. I mean, I'm going to make sure I'm personally sitting in that seminar, and you know, hopefully we'll be seeing you more than once in South Africa in the future, because I think it's an amazing teacher. Gerry, I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate this.
Good.